Welcome to North Berwyn Park's Halloween Storytelling Hour. Tonight we're going to tell some stories and then we'll have a special surprise. I want to welcome you to my werewolf's den. As you can tell, we've tidied up just for you. Now get settled and get a nice cozy chair and we'll get started. The first story is called Bony Fingers. It was Friday, the day before Halloween. Rosa had gone to her girlfriend's house after school and lost track of time because they were having so much fun. The sun had already gone down, so it was dark outside before Rosa noticed how dark it was. She gathered up her things and hurried out the door. She only lived a few blocks away. To save time, she decided to cut through the alleyway between the houses. Halfway down the alley, she heard something behind her. As she turned around, Rosa saw a dark figure emerge from between the garages. It must have been 7 feet tall, with arms as long as its body. Its long, bony fingers dragged on the pavement. The creature suddenly ran up to her, looked down at her with its huge green eyes, and spoke to her with its large, puffy red lips. "Hi," said the ugly thing. "Want to see what I can do with my long, bony fingers and my big, wet lips?" "Yuck, no!" screamed Rosa, and she immediately started to run. The thing chased her around the corner into a park. She was frightened and out of breath as she stopped at a bench to rest. It came up behind her, dragging its fingers on the grass, and sat on the bench beside her. "Hi," said the creature. "Want to see what I can do with my long bony fingers and my big wet lips?" "Absolutely not," she yelled. Then Rosa jumped up and ran through the park as fast as her legs would carry her. Once again, she had to stop. Out of breath and very tired, she stopped to lean against the trunk of a tall old tree. Rosa thought she had lost it when the thing peered around the tree's trunk, grinning at her. "Hi again," it said. "Want to see what I can do with my long bony fingers and my big wet lips?" She could feel its breath on her face. Rosa was scared, but too exhausted to run any further. "Oh, all right," she said. "Show me what you can do." The thing slowly raised its long arms, its extended bony fingers twitching with excitement. Then it brought its fingers to its lips and said, "What do you know? Not such a bad creature after all." Our second story is one that I wrote myself, so I hope you enjoy it. Many years ago, a mountain climber named Max Prescott decided he wanted to be the first person to scale a mountain. He didn't care where it was or how high it was. He only wanted to be the one that climbed it first. He knew this would make him feel special and better than anyone else. So he searched the world over until he found just such a mountain. It was located on an isolated island off the coast of Guatemala. Since it had no official name, Max planned to name it after himself. His ego swelled at the thought of having a mountain named after him. Max took a boat to the island and thought it was the perfect place. People who lived in a small village at the base of the mountain tried to tell him not to do it. They said he would regret it because the mountain was cursed. Many years ago, a coven of witches lived there, had tormented the villagers, killing their crops and making them very ill. Finally, the people had enough. They captured the witches and threw them into the sea. But before they drowned, the witches put a spell on the mountain and said anyone going there would pay a terrible price. Naturally, Max thought they were just superstitious and ignored their warning. Up he climbed until he reached the highest point. Standing there feeling very proud, he felt something under his boot. It was a beautiful, glistening stone. As soon as he picked it up, a soft breeze blew across the top of the mountain. Max swore he heard the wind whisper in his ear, "You get one wish. Be careful." How strange, he thought. Surely it must have been his imagination. Why be careful anyway? Getting a wish is a good thing. So on the way down the mountain, he thought about what he should wish for. At the bottom, he reached a decision. Max wished to be the most famous mountain climber of all time. By the time he arrived home, word of his accomplishment had spread everywhere. No matter where he went, people would not leave him alone. They hounded him for autographs or photos or favors. It got so bad, he could no longer step outside his own house. Max's mountain climbing days were over. The fame he asked for had taken away the thing he loved the most. He cursed the day he set eyes on that stone. So Max went to the drawer where he kept it hidden and threw it out his bedroom window. A couple days later, kids were playing nearby and their ball rolled into his yard. A boy came to retrieve the ball and seeing the shiny stone, stuck it in his pocket. Later that evening, as he changed into his pajamas, the stone fell out of his pants onto the floor. The boy thought it was the most fantastic rock he had ever seen. His uncle, who was a very superstitious man, had told him a story once about a lucky stone that had the power to grant wishes. The boy loved that story. So he figured there was no harm in giving it a try. But what should he wish for? Finally, he had it. No more homework. From now on, he could do whatever he wanted after school. At first, he thought this would be great. He didn't have to practice his spelling or write sentences. He didn't have to solve math problems. He didn't even have to study for tests. He gradually realized, however, that not doing his homework had a downside. While his friends were doing their homework, the boy had no one to play with. They were getting smarter at school, and he was falling behind. He began failing tests, and there was talk of him not graduating to the next grade level. Others his age were moving ahead while he remained where he was. The wish had backfired. Instead of making him happy, it was doing just the opposite. The next year, his mother was offered a new job in another city. In preparing for the move, his family decided to sell some of their old furniture. a young woman named Gloria purchased several of the items, including his old dresser. It was not until Gloria went to put her clothes away at her home that she noticed a small box in one of the dresser drawers. Inside the box was the lovely rock with a note from the young boy. The note warned that using the magic wishing stone would not bring happiness. But the young woman had always been one to do just the opposite of what she was told. Besides, she thought, how could a simple rock harm me? In addition to being obstinate, Gloria was also very vain. She was quite pretty, but she wanted to be beautiful. More beautiful than anyone else. Gloria thought that would make her better than anyone else. So she made her wish. The next morning when she woke, she saw in the mirror that her wish had come true. Now, wherever Gloria went, people noticed how unusually attractive she was. Some women envied her. Others wanted to be her friend. Men fell all over themselves trying to please her, and many wanted to marry her. But Gloria, judging everyone by physical appearance, felt she could only marry the most handsome man of all. So she did. But the man turned out to be as vain as she was. They each thought of themselves as more attractive than the other. If one got more attention, the other became jealous. Their marriage became a competition, and soon they were both miserable. Gloria learned too late that beauty alone could not make her happy. She wished that shimmering stone had never come into her life. One day, she took it with her to the beach and threw it far out into the water. A few days later, the shiny rock made its way back onto the sand, washed into shore by the waves. There it lay, glistening in the sun, waiting for its next victim. The final story tonight is another one that I wrote that I hope you enjoy. This one was kind of taken off of a real life experience, but I took some liberty and added a few things to it, but I hope you like it. It's titled, It Lives Here. When I was a child, my family did not have much money, so vacations were something we could not afford. Instead, we went to visit relatives. This particular year, we decided to see my great-grandfather. It was fall of the year, and he lived in the southern part of the state, which was very mountainous and covered with forests. My mom told me it would be the most beautiful time of year to visit. There were no large cities nearby, only very small hamlets separated by vast areas of dense woods. The only roads were narrow and winding with no lights whatsoever. And those were the good ones. The road, if you can call it that, leading to my great-grandfather's farm was little more than a path covered with large chunks of rock. We had to drive at a snail's pace because the underside of the car might be damaged by the stones thrown up by the tires. By the time we got there, I was already bored. Deep in the woods, though, we finally reached our destination. The house stood about 60 feet from the road. It was a plain, one-story wood structure with a screened-in front porch and an old wire fence that went entirely around the yard. As we exited the car and stretched our weary bodies, my great-grandfather and his wife walked out to welcome us at the front gate. I had never met them before. He was quite tall, with snow-white hair, and moved with great ease for a man his age. I didn't know exactly how old he was, but I know the number had to be very high. For some reason, I decided to call him Gigi. Maybe because great-grandfather just seemed too formal with him dressed in his plaid shirt and farmer's blue jeans. The front walkway was lined with these short, spindly plants, bearing bright red, orange, and yellow buds of some sort. They didn't look like flowers. Gigi made it sound like they were candy and offered me one of the red ones. I had never tasted a hot pepper before and innocently chewed it, expecting something sweet. It took but an instant to realize the truth. My mouth was on fire. I looked at him in disbelief and saw the glint of pleasure in his eyes. He was pleased with himself. He had tricked me, but I was not about to give him any satisfaction. I was a very stubborn child. I told myself not to cry or ask for any relief, even though I wanted it badly. Instead, I glared at him with hurt disapproval and watched his expression change to disappointment. His mean deception had failed. It also ruined any chance of my trusting him again. My visit was not off to a good start, but I had no idea how much worse it would become. Since it was fall, nighttime comes early, even more so when you are deep in a forest. We had barely finished dinner, and it was time for bed. Before settling down for the night, a few things were explained to us. First, there was no indoor toilet. If we needed to go to the bathroom, the outhouse was at the far end of the backyard. At night, it was best to take a lantern or flashlight, since the inside of the privy, as it was called, would be pitch black. Besides, the light would probably scare off anything taking refuge there. Snakes, skunks, or other things. The snakes and skunks were bad enough, but the unknown, the other things, were the most worrisome. The second most important rule was never go outside the yard into the woods, no matter what. No explanation was given. It was simply a rule everyone had to obey. What a primitive way to live. Why would anyone think of this as a visit vacation? Besides, that awful hot pepper was still bothering my mouth. Needless to say, I tried not to think about needing to go to the bathroom. But the more I tried, the more inevitable it became. About 3 a.m, I couldn't wait any longer. So I slipped on my shoes and grabbed a flashlight by the back door. As I stepped outside into the chilly night air, I could barely see the path to the outhouse. If there was any light from the moon or stars, the tall trees blocked it out. As I approached the door of the, let's call it facility, the thought of opening it filled me with dread. What if a snake was inside? What if it was a copperhead or rattlesnake? Both were common in this area and both were very poisonous. Slowly I opened the door. To my relief, nothing came out. There was a dirt floor, a low ceiling covered with spider webs, wasp nests in the corners, and the glorious throne, a wood plank with a hole in it. How much luxury could anyone stand? The privy was at the edge of the yard with its back to the woods. Anything living there could come up to it and be inches away from me on the other side of the back wall. I might never know. I had just realized this when I heard something moving ever so slowly. The forest floor was covered with dried leaves at this time of year. I could hear them being softly crunched under the weight of something large. It almost sounded like someone walking, but the sound that came next was not that of a human, at least not a normal human. It was breathing slowly, deliberately. Then came silence. I held my breath in case it was listening. The quiet seemed to last forever. Part of me wanted to bolt for the house. Part of me wanted to desperately hide, but there was nowhere to hide. I was trapped. Then I heard something new. A soft, scratching noise, followed by a slow creaking, as if a piece of old wood was being pried apart. It was trying to get in. I gasped and it heard me. Now it started to dig at the wall rapidly and violently. Nails holding the wood planks were giving way. The thing was breathing fast, almost in a frenzy to reach me. I no longer had a choice. Unless I wanted my mangled body to be found inside a smelly, disgusting outhouse in the morning, fleeing was my only chance. I pushed the door open and ran faster than I had ever run before. The flashlight fell from my hand. As the back door of the house got closer, I could hear the thing closing in behind me. It had gotten over the fence or through the privy wall and was trying to reach me. There was a slathering, disgusting sound coming from its mouth, the excited kind a beast makes as it bears down on its prey. I had just reached the door as I felt something snag my pant leg and tear at the shirt tail of my pajamas. Bang went the door as I slammed it shut. Exhausted, I fell to the floor. I could still hear it panting on the other side of the door. Gigi and his wife reached me first. As I explained something had chased me, they looked out the window, but it had vanished from sight back into the dark. They saw my torn clothes. From the glance exchanged between them, I could tell they knew about the thing. They knew it was out there and never said a word. Why? Did they know who or what it was? 3 days later, the longest 3 days of my life, we left for home. I never returned to that farm in the woods. Whatever pursued me that night is still a mystery. Was it human? If so, what kind of human behaved like that? Or was it some savage thing living in only that forest? I will never know. Maybe it is still there. Well, I hope you enjoyed our stories. And now we're at that time when we have the surprise I promised you. It's right here. I know what you're thinking. It's just a pumpkin. An ordinary pumpkin. Nothing unusual about that. But this is no ordinary pumpkin. This is a magic pumpkin. It has the power to do special things, grant wishes, and it listens. If it likes what it hears, it will probably grant our wish. Now, I must warn you, every pumpkin is special. They're rare and they're individual. Some magic pumpkins grant wishes easily. They cooperate. Others, They're mischievous and they play tricks. We won't know for sure what kind we have till we open it up. Now, in order to know what to wish for with the magic pumpkin, we couldn't be together this year, so I could ask you directly. We had to do a poll of prospective trick-or-treaters, and we asked them to choose between a number of things what they wanted the most. For instance, some of the things we told them about were these wonderful acorns. I understand they're very nutritious. At least the squirrels think they are. And my favorite thing on the list was these marvelous dried turkey skins. They have 101 uses. You can comb your fur, or, well, in your case, your hair. You can use them as back scratchers. Feels good. Or, they're very practical. You can use them to pick those stubborn food particles from between your fangs. Very, very handy, especially if you're out of floss. And of course, there's the usual, candy. And I have the poll results right here. So I'm itching with excitement. or it's fleas. Anyway, we have the results here, and the results are candy again. Oh well, I promised we'd ask for what you wanted, and candy it is. So now I'll cut open our magic pumpkin after I say the incantation. Witches, goblins, skeletons, and ghosts. What is it trick-or-treaters want the most? Candy. Let's see what we get. Bear with me, he's a tough little devil. I hope he's a cooperative one. I'm sure he is. It's maybe it's somewhere else. You might have put it somewhere. Over here. But, oh, why, Thing? What are you doing here, Thing? As many of you might know, this is Thing. He's a member of the Addams family. And what are you here for, Thing? Oh, you're here to help us? Oh, excellent. Well, we're having a trouble. Evidently, we have a trickster pumpkin, and the kids want candy. You think you can help us with that? Excellent. All right. Thing's going to help us, everybody. I think our problem is solved. Hey. Okay, we have a shiny can with a D on it. Candy. Let me give that back to you, Thing. That's we were looking for something maybe a little different than that. Let me see if I can be more about a Snickers. Think you can do a Snickers? All right, let's see what. Oh, let's hope, huh? Maybe this will be the solution to our problem. And sneaker. Snickers, sneaker sound a little bit alike, especially when you're down in the pumpkin. Ooh. Oh, I think I'll give that back to you, Thing. Thanks for your effort, but we still haven't quite got this right. I think, what can I say? A Halloween candy that can't be confused. Ah, Baby Ruth. Nuts and nougat, caramel and chocolate. Oh, they're very good. Just be careful if you're allergic to the peanuts. Oh, baby. It's a very sweet baby doll. Opens and closes her eyes, and she has her own name tag. Her name is Ruth. Baby Ruth. Okay, here you go, Thing. I think we'll try again. How about something a little different? This can't be confused. A Butterfinger. Butterfinger would be great. Love Butterfingers. Oh, wonderful. Good any time of year. Love it. It's a finger. I don't even know where it came from. With something on the end of that is buttery and greasy. It's butter on a finger. I think I'll save that for later. Let's try one more thing. Hopefully this will work. The kids want candy, something sweet, like a candy bar that they can eat with chocolate, marshmallow, nugget, anything like that. A candy they can actually eat. Okay. This has got to be it. This has got to be it. Look at that. Oh, Thing. This is perfect. It's even my favorite candy bar, Thing. I love Milky Way more than anything else. But Thing, the candy bar wrapper thing, it's empty. Where's the candy thing? Thing, come back. Did you eat the candy, Thing? Sorry about that. Didn't quite work out the way we hoped, huh? Well, next year, when we're together again, and we have another magic pumpkin, hopefully it will be a little more cooperative than this one. Appears we got a trickster this year. But until then, I want you to all be safe. If you go out for Halloween, wear your mask. Keep distance between yourself and people that you don't know, and be safe. But enjoy Halloween and be safe till next year when we can all be together again. Bye-bye, everyone. I'm hungry. Where's that finger?